7,000 years ago, someone in the ancient Near East planted coriander seeds on purpose. By the time pharaohs were entombed with it, this plant had already crossed trade routes, entered medicinal scrolls, and flavored Mesopotamian stews, one of the oldest spices in recorded history. Yet for some people today, its leaves taste like soap. That divide is biological, written into a single gene, and its story begins far earlier than you'd think. In the shadow of Anatolia's ancient settlements, the first clues appear not in myths or recipes, but in the charred remains of tiny seeds. Archaeobotanists sifting through layers at Catalhoyuk have identified coriander among the earliest intentionally cultivated plants, dating back to around 5000 BC. These seeds are not wild finds. Their size and surface patterns match the traits of domesticated coriander, distinct from other Apiaceae. Microscopic analysis, measuring length, width, and the position of the hilum confirms their identity. Radiocarbon dating of these layers anchors coriander's presence firmly in the Neolithic, alongside wheat and barley, marking it as a deliberate choice in the first wave of agriculture. The story does not stay rooted in Anatolia. Dried coriander seeds, compact and resilient, proved ideal for travel. They moved along the earliest trade corridors, by camel across the Taurus Mountains, and by ship, hugging the Levantine coast. Caravans carried sacks of spice from central Anatolia to the fertile valleys of the Levant and beyond. Archaeobotanical finds from Tel Abu Huraira and Jericho reveal a shared spice repertoire, with coriander seeds appearing in the same layers as other cultivated herbs. The seeds' portability and long shelf life made them a logical companion for merchants navigating the Bronze Age's growing web of exchange. Every seed recovered from these sites is a fragment of a much wider story, one that links the quiet work of Neolithic farmers with the bustling trade routes that would soon connect Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Mediterranean world. Coriander's journey from field to caravan marks the beginning of its transformation from local herb to global spice. Inside the stone-walled houses of ancient Egypt, coriander was more than a trade good. It was a fixture in daily ritual and healing. Egyptian physicians, writing in the looping script of the Ebers Papyrus around 1550 BC, prescribed coriander for troubled stomachs and restless nights. The scroll's recipes read like incantations, a pinch of coriander seed, ground and blended with honey, taken for digestive relief. Village healers reached for coriander as a breath freshener or to ward off bad spirits, trusting its sharp aroma to protect both body and soul. The Hearst and Berlin papyri, too, list coriander among their remedies, sometimes paired with cumin and fennel in ointments for wounds or mixed into incense burned during funerary rites. Egyptologists studying these texts describe a world where medicine and magic were inseparable, and where coriander's scent was both practical and sacred. The reach of coriander extended beyond papyrus scrolls. When Howard Carter catalogued the treasures of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, he noted seed specimens among the burial goods. One identified as coriander, preserved for over 3,000 years. The seeds, nestled with onions and grains, hint at a belief that coriander could nourish and protect the dead in the afterlife, just as it had in life. East of Egypt, in the kitchens of Babylon, coriander took on a new role. Cuneiform tablets from the Yale Babylonian collection record recipes for lamb stews that call for coriander seed, crushed, toasted, then sprinkled as a final flourish. Assyriologists translating these tablets find coriander paired with cumin and leeks, transforming humble stews into aromatic feasts. The instructions are precise. Toast the coriander to unlock its fragrance, a step that reveals an early understanding of flavor chemistry. In these kitchens, coriander had become a staple, linking the sacred and the everyday with each meal. Greek and Roman writers approached coriander with a level of sensory precision that set them apart from earlier civilizations. Theophrastus, the great botanist of the 4th century BC, described the plant's split identity: the leafy tops, soft and green, and the round aromatic seeds. He noted that the leaves were gathered for salads, their taste sharp and fresh, while the seeds, dried and stored, became the backbone for sauces, pickles, and even perfumes. Pliny the Elder, writing in the 1st century, praised Egyptian coriander as the finest, but he made a clear distinction. The seeds, he said, were valued for preserving meats and flavoring wine, while the leaves appeared at Greek banquets, tossed with vinegar and oil. Columella, the Roman agriculturalist, recorded recipes for garum fish sauce that demanded ground coriander seed, a staple for anyone hoping to keep food fresh in the Mediterranean heat. Classical authors did more than list uses. They recognized a divide in the plant's nature. The leaves, delicate and fleeting, brought a bright, almost citrus-like character to dishes, but their aroma was polarizing. The seeds, by contrast, held their warmth and spice through months of storage, lending depth to both medicine and cuisine. Roman texts also mention coriander in ointments and perfumes, prized for its ability to mask unpleasant odors and soothe the skin. Yet even in these ancient sources, there is a hint that not every palate agreed. The green leaves were celebrated in Greece, but treated with caution in Rome, where cooks preferred the safer, longer-lasting seeds. This early awareness of the plant's dual character, herb and spice, leaf and seed, echoes the very questions that puzzle modern diners. The classical world, with all its sensory curiosity, set the stage for the mystery that would one day become a matter for science. Fresh coriander leaves have always divided opinion, but the explanation begins not in taste buds, but in chemistry. When a leaf is crushed, a suite of volatile compounds is released, most notably a group of molecules called aldehydes. Gas chromatography and mass spectrometry reveal that 3 aldehydes dominate the leaf's aroma: decanal, dodecanal, and E2-decanol. Each brings its own character. Decanal gives a bright, citrusy scent, almost waxy and clean. Dodecanal, by contrast, is heavier, with a fatty, faintly soapy note. E2-decanol sharpens the mix with a green, oily edge. These are not present in equal measure. Different strains of coriander, grown in different soils or climates, shift the balance. A plant grown in dry, sun-baked fields may produce more dodecanal, amplifying the soapy quality, while others lean toward the citrusy decanal. Even the time of harvest and method of storage can nudge the ratios, making the same bunch of leaves taste surprisingly different from field to field or season to season. The mystery of coriander's split reputation starts here, in the invisible cloud of aldehydes rising from every fresh-cut leaf. Not everyone who tastes fresh coriander leaves is experiencing the same thing. The difference comes down to a single gene, OR6A2. This gene codes for a receptor in the nose that is especially sensitive to certain aldehydes, the same molecules responsible for the soapy note in coriander. Geneticists studying thousands of people found a clear pattern. A specific variant of OR6A2 makes the receptor far more responsive to dodecanal, the aldehyde most strongly linked to the soap-like aroma. In laboratory assays, the sensitive version of this receptor showed a 4-fold increase in response to dodecanal compared to the more common version. For some people, even a trace amount of these aldehydes is enough to trigger a strong, almost detergent-like sensation. For others, the same molecules fade into the background, letting the green, citrusy notes come through. This isn't a matter of upbringing or acquired taste. It's a direct result of how the brain interprets signals from a single olfactory receptor. The split in coriander perception, once the stuff of family arguments and culinary debates, is now mapped to a small stretch of DNA. A simple taste test can make the science behind coriander's split reputation feel immediate. In controlled trials, participants sample random dishes, some laced with fresh coriander, others with a neutral green like parsley. Without knowing which is which, they rate each on a 7-point scale, from pleasantly citrusy to strongly soapy. The results often sort cleanly along genetic lines, with the soapy group describing flavors as metallic or medicinal, while others taste only fresh, green brightness. For those who struggle with the soap sensation, kitchen workarounds offer hope. Briefly blanching coriander leaves in boiling water and plunging them into ice water can strip away some aldehydes, softening the harshest notes. Chefs also pair coriander with acidic ingredients, such as lime or vinegar, or with rich fats like yogurt and avocado. These tricks do not erase the genetic difference, but they can tip the balance, letting even sensitive diners enjoy a dish that, for 5,000 years, has sparked both delight and debate. Across 5 millennia, Coriander's story weaves ancient medicine, royal tombs, and fragrant kitchens into modern genetics. Today, a spice once prized by pharaohs still divides palates, not by preference but by biology. One plant, one gene, two worlds of flavor. What does your tongue remember? Share your take below.